Mark Reddick knelt on the worn linoleum of his kitchen floor, his calloused fingers working the laces of his son's cleats. The rubber smelled new. He'd bought them 3 weeks ago after Owen's old pair split at the seams during practice. "Dad, you're going to make me late," Owen said, but his voice carried no real complaint. The boy shifted his weight from foot to foot, his baseball uniform already grass-stained to the knees from morning drills. "Hold still." Mark pulled the laces tight, then tied them in a double knot. "Can't have you tripping over loose shoes." Owen grinned down at him. 9 years old, gap-toothed, with Mark's dark hair and his mother's pale blue eyes. The combination twisted something in Mark's chest every time he looked at the kid. "You got your glove?" "Right here." Owen held up the worn leather mitt. Mark had oiled it himself last week, working the conditioner into every crease and pocket. It had been his own glove once, 25 years ago. "You remember what I taught you about grounders? Stay low, glove to the dirt. Watch it all the way in." "That's right." Mark stood, his knees popping. 38 felt older some days than others. "Your mom's picking you up at noon. Game starts at 2. You'll have plenty of time." Owen's smile faded a fraction. "Yeah." Mark caught the change. "What?" "Nothing. Just, Trent always makes us late. Your mom said she'd get you there. She always says that." Mark pulled his phone from his pocket and checked the time. 11:47. Lena was supposed to be here 13 minutes ago. He walked to the front window and pushed the curtain aside. The street sat empty except for old Mrs. Kelso walking her terrier. "She'll be here," Mark said, more to himself than to Owen. But 17 minutes later, when the silver BMW finally pulled into the driveway, Mark's jaw was tight enough to crack teeth. He watched Lena step out of the passenger's side, her red dress too bright for a Saturday afternoon. Trent stayed behind the wheel, sunglasses on, engine running. Mark opened the door before she could knock. "Hey." Lena's smile was wide and fake as a billboard. Her perfume hit him like a wall, something expensive and too strong. "Sorry we're a little late. Traffic was crazy. There's no traffic in Beaverton at noon on Saturday." Her smile twitched. "Well, we had to make a stop. Anyway, we're here now." "Owen ready?" Mark didn't move from the doorway. "You sure you'll get him to the game on time?" "Of course." She laughed high and forced. "Mark, seriously, it's just a baseball game. It's not just anything. He's been working on his swing for 2 months. Coach says he's ready to start. And he will. We'll be there. Promise." She held up 2 fingers like a scout's oath. Mark studied her face. She wore more makeup than she used to, dark lines around her eyes that made her look harder. Older. Behind her, Trent revved the engine once. "You break your word again, Lena," Mark said, his voice low and even, "and I won't call next time. I'll act." Her smile vanished. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means what it means." "Jesus, Mark, you're so dramatic. He's my son too, you know." Mark stepped aside. "Owen, your mother's here." The boy appeared behind him, backpack over one shoulder, glove clutched in his other hand. Lena's expression softened when she saw him. "There's my baseball star." She bent down and kissed his forehead, leaving a red lipstick mark. "Ready to go?" "Yeah." Owen looked back at Mark. "See you tomorrow, Dad." "See you tomorrow. Play hard." Mark watched them walk to the BMW. Lena's heels clicked on the concrete driveway. She opened the back door, and Owen climbed in. Through the tinted window, Mark could see 2 other shapes. Trent's twins from his first marriage. Both younger than Owen, maybe 6 or 7. The BMW backed out and disappeared down the street. Mark stood in the doorway for a long moment, that familiar knot forming in his gut. The same knot he'd felt every time Lena made promises she couldn't keep. Every time she chose her new life over the old one. He checked his watch. If they left now, they'd get Owen to the field with 40 minutes to spare. Plenty of time for warm-ups. He went back inside and tried to focus on the carburetor spread across his kitchen table. A 67 Mustang rebuild, a side job that paid better than the shop work. But his hands kept stopping, his mind drifting to the clock. 1:15. They should be at the field by now. 1:30. Game started in 30 minutes. 1:45. Mark called Lena's phone. It rang 6 times and went to voicemail. He didn't leave a message. At 1:55, he grabbed his keys and drove to Morrison Park. The parking lot was full of minivans and SUVs. Parents clustered around the bleachers, thermoses of coffee in hand. The smell of cut grass and hot dogs drifted from the concession stand. Mark scanned the field. The teams were warming up, boys in blue and red uniforms playing catch along the baselines. He walked the length of the dugout, checking every face. No Owen. He found Coach Reynolds near home plate, clipboard in hand. Mark. Reynolds looked surprised. Didn't expect to see you. Thought Lena had Owen this weekend. She does. Where is he? Not here yet. Tried calling her, but... He shrugged. You know how it is. Mark's hands clenched. What time did you call? About 1:30. Had to put Tommy Rodriguez in left field instead. Kid's been waiting all season for a start. Try her again. Reynolds pulled out his phone and dialed. They waited through the rings. Voicemail. Sorry, Mark. If he shows up in the next few minutes. He won't. Mark turned and walked back to his truck. His vision had narrowed to a tunnel, his breathing sharp and controlled. He sat behind the wheel and called Lena's phone again. Then again. Then again. Nothing. The game started without his son. Mark watched from the parking lot, too angry to join the other parents in the bleachers, too stubborn to leave. The Blue Jays won 7-4. Tommy Rodriguez caught a fly ball in the 6th inning and got a standing ovation. Owen's spot. Owen's moment. Mark drove home as the sun dropped toward the hills. His phone buzzed once around 7. A text from Owen's number. He said I'm not his kid. Mark stared at the words on the screen. Read them twice. 3 times. His hands were steady when he set the phone down. He walked to his home office, a converted bedroom with a desk and filing cabinet, and pulled out the manila folder he'd started after the divorce. Court documents. Custody agreements. Lena's signature on every page, promising joint custody, promising equal time, promising to respect his role as Owen's father. He opened his laptop and typed emotional neglect Oregon custody law into the search bar. Then he started reading. Mark didn't sleep that night. He sat at his desk until 3 in the morning, taking notes on a yellow legal pad, his handwriting getting smaller and tighter with each line. By dawn, he had 17 pages of documentation. Missed pickups, broken promises, text messages from Owen saying his mother forgot his birthday last year, school conferences Lena never attended. And now this, the message that cut deeper than all the rest. He said I'm not his kid. At 7:30 Sunday morning, Mark sent a text to Owen. I'm coming to get you at noon. Be ready. Lena responded 40 minutes later. You can't just change the schedule. It's my weekend. Mark didn't reply. He drove to her house in West Lynn at exactly noon. The neighborhood was newer than his. Every lawn perfect, every driveway spotless. Trent's BMW sat next to Lena's white Lexus. Mark parked on the street and walked to the front door. He knocked 3 times. Lena opened the door in yoga pants and an oversized sweater. Mark, I got your text, but where's Owen? He's fine. He's watching TV with the other kids. Get him. Mark, you can't just. Get him now, or I'll go in and get him myself. Her face flushed. You're being ridiculous. So we missed one game. It's not the end of the world. You didn't miss the game. You chose not to take him. That's different. Trent wanted to do something fun with all the kids. We went to the amusement park. Owen had a good time. He sent me a text last night. Want to know what it said? Lena's eyes shifted. Kids get dramatic. What did Trent say to him? Nothing. They just... Look, blending families is hard. Sometimes there are growing pains. Mark took a step closer. What did he say? You need to back up. Tell me, or I swear to God. Or what? Trent's voice came from inside the house. He appeared behind Lena, wearing a polo shirt and khakis, his hair still wet from shower. You'll what exactly? Mark looked at him. Really looked. Trent Carter was taller by 2 inches, heavier by 30 pounds. Gym muscles, the kind that came from machines, not real work. His jaw was square and his teeth too white. You got something to say to me. Mark said, say it now. I've got nothing to say to you. But you're on my property, threatening my wife, and I'm about 2 seconds from calling the cops. Your wife, not Owen's mother. Same thing. It's really not. Trent stepped forward, putting himself between Mark and Lena. You need to leave. Now. I'm taking my son. Not on our custody weekend, you're not. I'll see you in court then. Trent laughed. Over what? We took the kids to have fun. Sue me. Mark held his stare for 3 seconds. Then he turned and walked back to his truck. His hand was shaking when he gripped the steering wheel, but not from fear. From rage. He drove straight to the county courthouse. The building was closed on Sundays, but he sat in the parking lot and made a list on his phone. Every violation, every broken promise, every time Lena put her new family ahead of Owen. Monday morning at 8 a.m., Mark walked through the courthouse doors and asked for the Family Services office. The clerk handed him a stack of forms. You filing for custody modification? Yes. Based on what grounds? Emotional neglect, custodial violation, failure to honor court-ordered agreements. The clerk, a woman in her 50s with reading glasses on a chain, studied him for a moment. You'll need documentation. Mark set his manila folder on the counter. I have it. Renee Hallbrook's office smelled like coffee and old books. She sat behind a desk covered in case files, her dark hair pulled back in a bun, her eyes sharp behind wire-rimmed glasses. 42 years old, mother of 2, and the best family law attorney in Clackamas County. Mr. Reddick. She gestured to the chair across from her desk. I reviewed your petition. It's thorough. Thank you. Mark sat, his hands folded in his lap. I'll be honest with you. Emotional neglect is hard to prove. Judges need concrete evidence. They need to see harm, not just poor parenting choices. I have text messages. I have missed events. I know. I read it all. She leaned forward, her expression serious. But what you're asking for is full custody. That's a big ask. Courts like to keep both parents involved unless there's abuse or danger. My ex-wife's new husband told my son he's not his kid anymore. He made him miss a baseball game he'd been training for all season. That's not just a poor choice. That's cruelty. Renee nodded slowly. You're right. But we need more than your son's word against Trent's. We need proof. What kind of proof? Witnesses. Recordings. Something undeniable. Mark thought about Owen's text message. 3 words that had kept him up for 2 nights. What if I could get that? Then we'd have a case. She pulled out a yellow legal pad and started writing. But understand something. If we go after full custody, your ex-wife will fight back. She'll hire her own lawyer. She'll make you look like the bad guy. She'll drag up every mistake you ever made as a parent. I can handle that. Can you? Because from what I'm reading, you work 60 hours a week. You live alone. You've never remarried. A judge might ask why you didn't fight harder for custody in the first place. Because I trusted her. I thought she'd put Owen first. And now I know better. Renee studied him for a long moment. Then she picked up her pen again. All right, let's build a case. But I need you to be smart about this. Don't confront Trent again. Don't threaten your ex-wife. Don't do anything that makes you look unstable. I'm not unstable. I know. But courts can twist anything. One wrong move, and you lose credibility. She tapped her pen on the desk. We filed a petition today. We request a home study and interviews with Owen. We document everything from here on out. And we wait. How long? Depends. Could be weeks. Could be months. Mark's jaw tightened. Every day he's with them is another day he's hurt. I understand. But if you want to win, we do this right. She stood and extended her hand. Trust me, Mr. Reddick. I've won cases like this before. We'll get your son back. Mark shook her hand. Her grip was firm and sure. He hurt my son, Mark said quietly. I'll hurt his life. Renee didn't flinch. Then let's get started. 3 days later, a process server delivered the custody petition to Lena's house. Mark imagined her face when she opened the envelope. The confusion first, then the panic, then the anger. His phone rang that night at 10:47 p.m. Lena's name on the screen. He let it ring. She called again at 11:03, then 11:15, then twice more after midnight. Mark turned off his phone and went to sleep. The next morning, he had 14 text messages. Most were from Lena, each one more frantic than the last. We need to talk. This is insane, Mark. You're overreacting. Trent said he's sorry. Don't do this to our family. Think about Owen. Please call me. Mark deleted them all. He spent the weekend with Owen per the existing custody schedule. They went to the batting cages, then got burgers at the diner near Morrison Park. Owen was quieter than usual, picking at his fries instead of eating them. You okay, bud? Mark asked. Yeah. Owen dragged a fry through ketchup. Mom's been crying a lot. Has she talked to you about what's going on? A little. She said you're mad at her. I'm not mad at her. I'm looking out for you. Trent says you're trying to take me away. Mark set down his burger. What do you want, Owen? You want to stay with your mom and Trent? Or you want to live with me full-time? Owen looked up, his eyes watery. Can I say both? You can say anything you want. I don't hate Mom, but I don't like Trent. He's mean when she's not looking, and his kids get everything. I'm just there. What do you mean? Owen shrugged. Just stuff he says. Like I'm in the way, or I'm too old to play with his kids, or my stuff takes up too much room. Mark felt that familiar burning in his chest. Did he say anything else? After the game? In the car, to the amusement park. Owen went very still. You mean in the car? Yeah. He said I'm not really part of their family. I'm just left over from Mom's old life. Owen's voice cracked. Is that true, Dad? Am I just left over? Mark reached across the table and gripped his son's shoulder. Listen to me. You're not left over. You're not in the way. You're the most important thing in my life. Do you understand? Owen nodded, but tears spilled down his cheeks. I'm fixing this, Mark said. I promise you, I'm fixing this. The social worker assigned to their case was named Dina Holbrook. She had gray hair cut short, deep lines around her eyes, and the tired look of someone who'd seen too much. She met with Mark first, in her cramped office at the county building. Mr. Reddick. She sat across from him, a file folder open on her desk. I've reviewed your petition. Tell me why you think your son is being emotionally neglected. Mark laid it out. Every missed event, every broken promise, every time Owen came home quieter than he'd left. And finally, Trent's words. Dina took notes, her pen moving steadily across a yellow pad. Has your son mentioned this to you directly? He sent me a text the night it happened. Do you still have it? Mark pulled out his phone and showed her the message. He said I'm not his kid. Dina read it twice. That's not much to go on. It's enough to start. Maybe, but Mr. Carter will deny it. Your ex-wife will back him up. It becomes he said, she said. She looked at him over her reading glasses. Unless you have something more concrete. Mark said nothing. I'm going to interview your son at school tomorrow. Neutral territory. No parents present. I'll talk to Mr. Carter and your ex-wife separately. She closed the file. I'll be honest with you, Mr. Reddick. Most custody disputes aren't black and white. Most parents aren't monsters. They're just flawed people trying their best. Trent Carter isn't trying his best. Then we'll find that out. Dina Holbrook met Owen at Beaverton Elementary on a Wednesday afternoon. The school counselor let them use her office, a small room with posters about feelings and a shelf full of stuffed animals. Owen sat in a beanbag chair, his backpack at his feet. Hi, Owen. Dina pulled up a small chair across from him. I'm Dina. I work for the county. Your dad probably told you I'd be coming to talk to you. Yeah. I'm not a teacher, and I'm not a judge. I'm just here to listen. Whatever you tell me stays between us. Okay. Okay. How are you doing? Owen shrugged. Fine. Your dad tells me you play baseball. Yeah. Left field. That's great. Do you like it? Yeah. I did. I missed my last game because... He trailed off. Because Trent wanted to go to the amusement park instead. Dina wrote something in her notebook. How did that make you feel? Mad and sad. I wanted to play. Did you tell your mom? She said it was fine, that I could play next time. What did Trent say? Owen didn't answer right away. Instead, he pulled a piece of paper from his backpack and a pencil. He started drawing, his hand moving in slow, deliberate strokes. Dina watched him work. After a minute, she could see what he was creating. A baseball glove, but not whole. He drew it torn down the middle. The two halves separated, the stitching ripped apart. Is that your glove? Dina asked gently. It's how I felt. Owen kept drawing, adding more detail to the torn leather. Like I got ripped in half. One part with Dad, one part with Mom, and the parts don't fit together anymore. That must hurt. Yeah. Owen, what did Trent say to you in the car? On the way to the amusement park. Owen set down his pencil. His eyes stayed on the drawing. He said I'm not really his kid, that I'm just extra from Mom's old life. He said that to you? In the car. His kids were in the back. I was in the middle. Did anyone else hear him? His kids. But they're little. They probably didn't understand. Dina made more notes. How do you feel when you're at your mom's house? Okay, I guess. Mom's nice. But Trent's always there, and he doesn't like me. What makes you think he doesn't like you? He just treats his kids different. They get new toys, and I get hand-me-downs. They get to pick dinner, and I have to eat whatever. Little stuff. Does your mom notice? Owen shook his head. She's always busy, or she's trying to make Trent happy. Do you feel safe there? Yeah. He's not mean like hitting or anything. He just makes me feel bad. Dina finished writing and looked up. If you could choose, Owen, where would you want to live? Owen thought for a long time. With my dad, but I'd still want to see my mom sometimes. Just not Trent. Thank you for being honest with me. Dina looked at the drawing again. The torn glove split down the middle. Can I keep this? Owen nodded. As Owen left the office, he paused at the door. Is my dad going to get in trouble? For what? For being mad at Trent. No, honey. Your dad's just trying to protect you. Owen nodded and left. Dina sat alone in the counseling office for another 10 minutes, studying the drawing. Then she picked up her phone and called Renee Hallbrook. We need to move fast on this one, Dina said. The boy's hurting bad. The interview with Trent Carter happened 2 days later at his office, a glass-fronted building in downtown Portland where he worked as a sales manager for a tech company. Dina met him in a conference room. He wore a suit, his hair slicked back, his smile confident. Ms. Holbrook. He shook her hand. Thanks for coming here. My schedule's pretty packed this week. I appreciate you making time. Dina sat across from him and opened her folder. I'll keep this brief. I'm investigating a custody dispute involving Owen Reddick. Right. Mark's been making a big deal out of nothing. Tell me what happened the day Owen missed his baseball game. Trent leaned back in his chair. We took the kids to the amusement park. All of them. Thought it'd be a fun family activity. Owen was supposed to be at a game. Yeah, I know. But it was just Little League. He'll have plenty of games. He'd been preparing for that game, specifically. He was supposed to start. Trent shrugged. Kids need to learn flexibility. Can't always get what they want. Did you explain that to Owen? I told him you were doing something different that day. He seemed fine with it. He sent his father a text that night. Do you know what it said? No idea. Dina pulled out a printed copy of the message and slid it across the table. It said, he said I'm not his kid. Trent barely glanced at it. Boys exaggerate. So you didn't say that to him? I might have said something like that, but not in a mean way. Just explaining that he's not my biological son. Facts are facts. And how do you think that made him feel? I don't know. He didn't cry or anything. Dina made a note. How would you describe your relationship with Owen? Fine. I mean, he's a good kid. A little sensitive, maybe. But fine. Does he feel included in your family? Of course. We do family stuff all the time. Like going to the amusement park instead of his baseball game. Trent's smile faded. Look, I'm doing my best here. I married Lena, not Owen. The kid came with the package. I'm trying to make it work, but Mark's making it impossible. How so? He calls constantly. He questions every decision. He's got Lena so stressed she can barely function. It's like he can't let go. Or maybe he's concerned about his son's well-being. Maybe. Or maybe he's a control freak who can't stand that Lena moved on. Dina closed her folder. Thank you for your time, Mr. Carter. After she left, Trent sat in the conference room and called Lena. We might have a problem. Lena Carter met Dina at a coffee shop in Lake Oswego. She wore designer jeans and a cashmere sweater, her makeup perfect, her hands shaking as she stirred her latte. Thank you for meeting with me, Dina said. Of course. Lena's voice was tight. I want to clear all this up. Mark's overreacting. Tell me about Owen. He's a great kid. Smart. Sweet. Loves baseball just like his dad. How is he adjusting to your new family? Fine. I mean, it's an adjustment. Blending families always is. But he gets along with Trent's kids. And Trent's really trying. Owen told me Trent said he's not really part of your family. Lena's face went pale. Trent wouldn't say that. Did you ask him? Not directly, but he wouldn't. Do you think Owen would lie about something like that? Lena's hands twisted around her coffee cup. No, but maybe he misunderstood. What's there to misunderstand about you're not my kid? I don't know. I wasn't there. That's part of the problem, isn't it? You weren't there at the baseball game either. We were doing something as a family. Whose family? Lena stared at her. What? When you chose to take Owen to the amusement park instead of his game, whose family were you thinking about? Owen's or Trent's? That's not fair. Mrs. Carter, I've been doing this job for 23 years. I can spot a parent who's checked out. The question is, do you want to check back in? Or do you want to lose your son? Lena started to cry, mascara streaking down her cheeks. I love Owen. I never wanted any of this to happen. Then why did it? Because Trent. Because I... She stopped, unable to finish. Because you chose Trent over Owen. Lena sobbed into her hands. I didn't mean to. I just wanted everyone to be happy. I wanted it to work. At what cost? Lena didn't answer. Dina gathered her things and stood. I'll be submitting my report to the judge next week. I suggest you think very carefully about what you really want. Because right now you're losing. She left Lena crying alone at the table. 5 days later, Renee Hallbrook called Mark at the shop. He was under a Honda Civic, changing the oil, when his phone buzzed in his pocket. Mr. Reddick, we have a development. Mark slid out from under the car and wiped his hands on a rag. What kind of development? The kind that wins cases. Can you come to my office? 20 minutes later, Mark sat across from Renee. She had a laptop open on her desk, a pair of earbuds in her hand. Owen's smartwatch syncs to your phone account, correct? She asked. Yes. I set it up that way for safety, in case he ever needs to call me. Did you know it also records audio when the voice command is activated? Mark went very still. No. Well, it does. And apparently Owen accidentally triggered it during the car ride to the amusement park. She turned the laptop toward him. Listen. She pressed play. Trent's voice came through, tinny but clear. Where are we going? Owen's voice, younger and smaller. Change of plans, buddy. We're going to the amusement park. But I have my game. Yeah. Well, you're not really my kid anymore. Your mom wanted this family, not your dad's leftovers. Silence. Then the sound of Owen sniffling. The recording ended. Mark sat frozen, his hands clenched on the armrests of the chair. The smartwatch automatically uploaded it to the cloud, Renee said. Time stamped. Date stamped. Crystal clear audio. And there's no disputing it's Trent's voice. How did you get this? You gave me access to Owen's account information when we filed the case. I was looking through his activity logs and found it. She closed the laptop. This changes everything. Trent can't deny it. Lena can't excuse it. The judge will hear this and rule in your favor. When emergency custody hearing is scheduled for Monday. 3 days. Mark stood and walked to the window. Outside, traffic moved along the street. Normal people living normal lives. He felt very far away from all of it. Sometimes protection looks a lot like revenge, he said quietly. Renee didn't reply. The courtroom was smaller than Mark had expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, rows of empty benches. He sat at a table on the left side with Renee. Across the aisle, Lena and Trent sat with their attorney, a man in an expensive suit with silver hair. Judge Patricia Brennan sat behind the bench, reading through the case file. She was in her 60s, her expression stern and unreadable. Mr. Reddick is petitioning for full custody of Owen Reddick, age 9, she said without looking up, based on allegations of emotional neglect and custodial violations. Ms. Carter is contesting. Lena's lawyer stood. Your Honor, this is an overreaction to a simple misunderstanding. Mr. Carter has apologized for his poor word choice, and Mrs. Carter has committed to better communication moving forward. Judge Brennan looked up. Mr. Carter called a 9-year-old boy leftover. That's not poor word choice. That's cruelty. It was taken out of context. Ms. Hallbrook, do you have a recording? Renee stood. Yes, Your Honor. She played the audio on her laptop, the sound echoing through the quiet courtroom. Mark watched Lena's face as she heard it. She closed her eyes, her lips pressed into a thin line. Trent stared straight ahead, his jaw tight. When finished, Judge Brennan sat back in her chair. Mr. Carter, do you dispute that this is your voice? Trent's lawyer whispered something to him. Trent stood. No, Your Honor. Do you have anything to say? It was a mistake. I was frustrated. I shouldn't have said it. No, you shouldn't have. But you did. And as a result, you caused measurable harm to a child in your care. She looked at Lena. Mrs. Carter, did you know your husband said this to your son? No, Your Honor. Did Owen tell you about it? He seemed upset that night, but I didn't know why. Did you ask? Lena hesitated. No. Why not? I thought he was just tired. Or you didn't want to know. Lena said nothing. Judge Brennan flipped through more pages. I've read the social worker's report. I've read the custody history. And I've listened to this recording 3 times now. She looked at Mark. Mr. Reddick, if I grant you full custody, what's your plan for Owen? Mark stood. Keep him in the same school. Same baseball team. Same friends. Just give him a home where he feels wanted. And what about Mrs. Carter's relationship with her son? I'm not trying to erase her. I'm trying to protect him. If she wants to be in his life, she can, but supervised, and without Trent. Judge Brennan made a note. Then she looked at Lena and Trent. Mr. Carter, I'm terminating your parental rights effective immediately. You have demonstrated a clear inability to care for Owen's emotional well-being. Mrs. Carter, I'm granting Mr. Reddick full custody. You will have supervised visitation rights every other Sunday for 4 hours. Visits will be monitored by a court-appointed supervisor. This arrangement will be reviewed in 6 months. Lena gasped. Her lawyer started to object, but Judge Brennan cut him off. I'm not finished. Mrs. Carter, if you want more time with your son, you need to show me you're putting him first. Not your husband, not your new family. Owen, until I see that, these are my terms. She banged her gavel. We're adjourned. Mark felt Renee's hand on his shoulder. You did it, she said quietly. Mark looked across the aisle. Lena was crying into her hands. Trent sat rigid, his face red. Mark felt nothing but cold satisfaction. He'd won. The first night, Owen came home for good. He stood in the doorway of Mark's house like he was visiting for the first time. His duffel bag hung from one shoulder, his baseball glove clutched in his other hand. You can put your stuff in your room, Mark said. Same as always. Owen nodded but didn't move. Is this for real? I'm staying. For real. What about Mom? You'll see her. Just different than before. Owen walked down the hall to his bedroom. Mark heard the duffel bag hit the floor, then silence. He gave the kid a few minutes, then followed. Owen sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the posters on his wall. Baseball players frozen mid-swing. A diagram of a pitcher's grip. You okay? Mark asked from the doorway. Yeah, just weird. Good weird or bad weird? I don't know yet. Owen looked up. Is Mom mad at you? Probably. Is she mad at me? Mark crossed the room and sat beside him. Listen, none of this is your fault. Your mom made choices. Trent made choices. I made choices. But you? You're just a kid trying to figure it all out. Don't carry weight that's not yours to carry. But she's crying all the time now. That's on her, not you. Owen was quiet for a long time. Then he said, Dad? Yeah. Thanks. Mark ruffled his hair. Go wash up. I'll make dinner. 3 weeks later, Owen started on a new baseball team. The Tigers, coached by a guy named Phil Ortega, who'd played minor league ball 20 years ago. First practice, Owen showed up 40 minutes early, glove oiled, cleats tied tight. Mark sat in the bleachers and watched him take grounders. The kid was rusty at first, bobbling easy plays, but by the end of practice he'd found his rhythm. Low to the ground, glove to the dirt, eyes on the ball. Afterward, Phil pulled Mark aside. Your boy's got talent. Good instincts. Where's he been playing? He took some time off. Well, he's back now. We've got a game Saturday. He'll start in left field. Saturday came with clear skies and a light breeze. Mark arrived an hour early and helped Phil set up the field, dragged the infield dirt, lined the baselines with chalk. By the time the other parents arrived, the diamond looked perfect. Owen hit 3 singles and caught 2 fly balls. The Tigers won 9-2. On the drive home, Owen talked nonstop about the game, his words tumbling over each other. Did you see that catch in the 4th inning? I thought I'd drop it for sure, but I squeezed the glove at the last second. And that pitch in the 2nd inning was way outside, but Coach said I made the right call letting it go. And did you see? I saw everything, Mark said. You played great. Owen grinned, gap-toothed and happy. Mark felt something loosen in his chest, something that had been tight for months. But the peace didn't last. 2 months into the new custody arrangement, Lena started calling. Not Mark's phone. He'd blocked her number, but the house line, late at night when Owen would be asleep. Mark never answered. Then she started sending letters. Handwritten, pages long, full of apologies and promises. She left Trent, she said. She'd moved into a small apartment in Tigard. She was seeing a therapist. She was ready to be a better mother. Mark read each letter once, then filed them in a folder without responding. The breaking point came on a Tuesday afternoon. Mark got home from work to find Trent's BMW parked in his driveway. Trent sat behind the wheel, engine off, staring straight ahead. Mark parked on the street and walked toward the car. Trent rolled down his window. "We need to talk," Trent said. "Get off my property. Just hear me out. 5 minutes. I've got nothing to say to you." Trent's jaw tightened. "Lena's a mess. She's barely eating. She cries every night. This is destroying her. Should have thought about that before you called her son leftover. I apologize for that. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Fine. I made a choice. But she didn't. She's paying for my screw-up. That's not fair." Mark leaned down, his hands on the car door. "You want to know what's not fair? A 9-year-old kid missing his baseball game because you couldn't be bothered. A 9-year-old kid thinking he's not wanted in his own mother's house. That's what's not fair. I know, and I'm trying to fix it. By showing up at my house? By making excuses? That's not fixing anything." Trent's face flushed. "I'm here for Lena. She needs to see Owen. She needs to be his mother again. Then she should have been his mother when it mattered. So that's it? You're just going to keep her away forever? Until the court says otherwise, yeah. You're a real piece of work, you know that." Mark straightened. "Get off my property. If I see you here again, I'm calling the cops." Trent stared at him for a long moment. Then he started the engine and backed out of the driveway. That night, Mark got a call from Renee. "Trent Carter showed up at your house." "How did you know?" "Lena's lawyer called me." Apparently, Trent told her about the confrontation. They're claiming harassment. He showed up uninvited. I told him to leave. "I know, but we need to be careful. Any more contact like that, and they'll use it against you in the modification hearing." "What modification hearing?" "Lena filed a petition yesterday. She wants unsupervised visits." Mark sat down at his kitchen table. "Already, she's claiming she's made significant changes. Left Trent. Started therapy. Her lawyer thinks she has a case. She doesn't. Maybe not. But the court will give her a chance to prove it." The fallout came faster than Mark expected. A week after Trent's visit, Mark got a text from an unknown number. When he opened it, he found photos. Lena's apartment. Empty except for a mattress on the floor and a card table. The refrigerator door open, showing mostly empty shelves. Another photo showed Lena herself, thin and pale, sitting on the mattress with her head in her hands. The text read, "This is what you did to her." Mark deleted the photos and blocked the number. 2 days later, another text from a different number. This time, it was a screenshot of Lena's bank account. Overdrawn by $300. She can't even afford groceries. Mark blocked that number too. Then came the voicemail. Lena's voice, broken and desperate. "Mark, please. I know you don't want to talk to me, but I need help." Trent left. He said I was damaged goods. That I wasn't worth the trouble. I don't have anyone else. Please. Mark listened to it once. Then he deleted it. Renee called one afternoon in late October. "Your ex is petitioning to modify the custody agreement." Mark leaned against his workbench in the garage. "On what grounds?" "She's claiming she's made significant changes. Left her husband. Started therapy. She wants unsupervised visits." "No. Mark, the judge might grant it. She's doing what was asked of her. I don't care. Owen's happy now. Stable. I'm not changing that. You might not have a choice. Then we fight it." Renee sighed. "All right. I'll file a counter motion. But you need to prepare Owen. The judge might want to talk to him again." Lena showed up uninvited to one of Owen's games on a cold Saturday in November. Mark was helping the team pack up equipment when he saw her standing near the parking lot, wearing a coat too thin for the weather, her arms wrapped around herself. Owen spotted her first. He stopped mid-step, his glove dangling from his hand. "Is that Mom?" he asked. "Yeah." "What's she doing here?" "I don't know." "Stay here." Mark walked across the field toward her. She watched him approach, her face pale, her eyes red-rimmed. "You're not supposed to be here," Mark said when he reached her. "I just wanted to see him. I didn't talk to him. I wanted to watch him play. That's not how this works." "Mark, please." "I'm trying. I'm doing everything the judge asked. You're doing what you should have been doing all along." "I know, and I'm sorry, but I can't lose him completely. He's my son, too." "Then you should have thought about that before you let Trent treat him like garbage." Lena flinched. I made a mistake. A huge one. But I'm fixing it. I left Trent. I moved out. I'm in therapy. What else do you want from me? I don't want anything from you. I just want you to leave us alone. You can't keep him from me forever. Mark looked at her. Really looked. She lost weight. Her clothes hung loose on her frame. Her skin had a gray tint. Dark circles under her eyes spoke of sleepless nights. He felt nothing. Watch me, he said. Her face crumpled. This is cruel, Mark. I know I messed up, but this is cruel. You want to talk about cruel? Let's talk about what Trent said to Owen. Let's talk about the baseball game he missed. Let's talk about how many times you broke promises to him because Trent wanted something else. You did that. Not me. You. I know. Tears streamed down her face. I know. And I'm paying for it every day. I wake up in that apartment alone, and I think about him, and I can't breathe. I can't sleep. I can't. That's not my problem. He's my son. Then act like it. She sobbed into her hands. Please, Mark. Please. Just let me see him. 5 minutes. Just to tell him I love him. Mark looked back at the field. Owen stood next to Phil, watching them. His face was tight with worry. No, Mark said. You had your chances. You wasted everyone. He turned and walked back toward his son. Behind him, he heard Lena crying, broken and desperate. He didn't look back. That night, Owen was quiet at dinner. He pushed his spaghetti around his plate without eating. You want to talk about it? Mark asked. Was Mom crying? Yeah. Because of me? Because of choices she made. But she looked really sad. She is sad. But that's not something you need to fix. Don't you feel bad for her? Mark set down his fork. No. Why not? Because feeling bad doesn't change what happened. It doesn't undo the hurt. It doesn't make her a better mother. It just makes her feel sorry for herself. That sounds mean. Maybe. But it's true. Mark leaned forward. Owen, I know you love your mom. And that's okay. You should love her. But you don't owe her forgiveness just because she's sorry. You don't owe her anything except what she earns. Has she earned it yet? I don't know. That's for you to decide. Not me. Owen thought about that. Then he picked up his fork and started eating. The custody review hearing happened on a gray morning in early December. Mark sat beside Renee in the same courtroom where he'd won full custody 6 months earlier. Lena sat across the aisle with her new lawyer, a younger woman with short hair and a kind face. Judge Brennan reviewed the updated reports. Mrs. Carter, I see you've completed 12 weeks of therapy. You've moved out of the home you shared with Mr. Carter. You've attended every supervised visit without incident. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. And you're petitioning for unsupervised visits. Yes. I want to rebuild my relationship with my son. I know I made mistakes, but I'm committed to being better. Judge Brennan looked at Mark. Mr. Reddick, do you oppose this modification? I do. On what grounds? 6 months isn't long enough to prove real change. She's done the minimum required by the court. But that doesn't mean Owen's ready for more time with her. Has Owen expressed any opinion on the matter? He says he's fine with things the way they are. Judge Brennan made note. I'd like to speak with Owen privately. Owen met with the judge in her chambers. No parents. No lawyers. Just him and Judge Brennan and a plate of cookies on the desk between them. How are you doing, Owen? She asked. Good. How's school? Good. How's baseball? Really good. We made the playoffs. That's great. She leaned back in her chair. Your mom wants to spend more time with you. What do you think about that? Owen shrugged. I don't know. Do you want to see her more? She's nice when we visit. She asks about school and baseball and stuff. But it's only 4 hours. I don't know what it'd be like for a whole weekend. Are you worried something bad would happen? No. Just different. Different how? When I'm with Dad, I don't have to worry. I just get to be normal. But with Mom, I'm always thinking about if she's okay. If I'm making her sad. It's a lot. That sounds hard. Yeah. If I gave you a choice right now, more time with your mom, or keep things the same, what would you pick? Owen was quiet for a long time. I'd keep it the same. For now. Maybe later I'd want more. But not yet. Okay. Thank you for being honest with me. Judge Brennan delivered her ruling 30 minutes later. After reviewing the case and speaking with Owen, I've decided to maintain the current custody arrangement. Mrs. Carter will continue supervised visits every other Sunday. We'll review this again in 6 months. She looked at Lena. Mrs. Carter, I commend your efforts. You're doing the work. But your son needs more time before he's ready for extended visits. Keep going. Don't give up. Lena nodded, tears streaming down her face. Mark felt Renee's hand on his arm. That's it, she whispered. You won again. But when Mark looked at Lena, broken and crying across the aisle, he felt no triumph. Just cold emptiness. He stood and walked out of the courtroom without a word. Christmas came with snow and cold wind. Mark and Owen spent the morning at home, opening presents by the tree. Owen got a new glove, better leather, a deeper pocket. He spent an hour breaking in with oil and a baseball, working the stiffness out. Dad, he said, not looking up from the glove. Yeah. Do you think Mom's okay? Probably. Do you ever miss her? Mark thought about that. About the early years when Lena's laugh could fill a room. When she'd dance in the kitchen while cooking dinner. When she'd curl up beside him on the couch and fall asleep with her head on his shoulder. That woman was gone. Had been gone for years. No, he said. I don't. Owen nodded. Me neither. Not really. I just feel bad sometimes. That's called guilt. It's different from missing someone. How do you make it go away? You don't. You just learn to live with it. Owen kept working the glove, his hands small but sure. 2 weeks later, Mark received a letter from Lena's lawyer. A formal request for leniency. Lena had completed 20 weeks of therapy now. She'd maintained stable housing and employment. She was requesting one additional supervised visit per month and the possibility of phone calls with Owen. Mark read the letter twice. Then he walked to the fireplace, struck a match, and held the envelope to the flame. The paper curled and blackened, ash drifting up the chimney. He never replied. Owen's team made it to the championship game in late January. The Tigers versus the Eagles, best of 3. By the third game, the series was tied 1-1. Mark sat in the bleachers, his coat zipped to his chin, his breath fogging in the cold air. Owen stood in left field, glove ready, eyes tracking the batter. Top of the 6th inning, score tied 3-3. Eagles had runners on first and second, 2 outs. Their cleanup hitter stepped into the box, a big kid with a swing like a lumberjack. He connected on the second pitch, a line drive screaming toward left field. Owen took 3 running steps, dove glove outstretched, and caught it. The crowd erupted. Owen rolled to his feet, holding the ball high, grinning so wide his whole face disappeared. Bottom of the 6th, Owen came to bat with 1 out and a runner on third. The pitcher threw high and outside. Ball 1, then a fastball down the middle. Owen swung hard, made contact, and sent the ball sailing over the second baseman's head. The runner scored. Tigers won 4-3. Owen's teammates swarmed him, shouting and laughing. Phil lifted him onto his shoulders and paraded him around the infield. Mark watched from the bleachers, his chest tight, his eyes burning. When the celebration ended, Owen ran to him. Did you see? Did you see the catch and the hit? I saw everything. We won. You won. Owen threw his arms around Mark's waist and held on tight. Mark rested his hand on his son's head and closed his eyes. This was victory. That night, after Owen fell asleep, Mark sat in his garage and picked up the baseball glove. The leather was worn soft now, the stitching frayed in places. He'd repaired 1 tear with thick black thread, careful stitches that held tight. He turned it over in his hands, remembering the day he'd given it to Owen. The day Lena had taken it to the amusement park instead of the game. The day everything changed. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Please, I'm begging you. Just let me talk to him. Mark stared at the message. Then he blocked the number and set the phone down. He picked up a needle and thread and started repairing another tear in the glove's webbing. The work was slow and methodical. Each stitch tight and even. Each one permanent. Outside, the wind rattled the garage door. Inside, Mark worked in silence. He never forgave. He never forgot. He won. 2 years later, Mark stood at the fence of a baseball field in Beaverton. The sign above the entrance read, Reddick's Field for kids who deserve better. It was a small operation. 1 field, bleachers for 40 people, a concession stand that sold hot dogs and soda. But it was his. He'd used money from a settlement with an insurance company, a car accident 3 years back that had left him with a bad shoulder and a check for $70,000. He'd sunk every penny into the field. Kids from broken homes played here. Kids whose parents were divorced or absent or too busy. Kids who needed someone to show up, someone to care. Owen was 16 now, tall and lean, his voice deeper, his face losing its boyish softness. He stood near the pitcher's mound, working with a group of 9-year-olds on their stance. Knees bent, Owen called, "Weight on your back foot." Eyes on the pitcher. Mark watched him move among the kids with easy confidence. Patient when they struggled, encouraging when they succeeded. A car pulled into the parking lot. Mark glanced over and saw Lena step out. She walked slowly toward the field, her hair shorter now, streaked with gray. She stopped at the fence, 20 feet from where Mark stood. They looked at each other across the distance. "He's good with them," Lena said. Mark didn't respond. "I just wanted to watch. That's all." "Then watch from your car." "Mark, I'm not doing this again." Lena's face tightened. "It's been 2 years. When does it end?" "It doesn't. He's my son. He's 17 in 6 months. Then he decides. Not me. Not you. Him." Lena looked at Owen on the field. Her eyes filled with tears. "He never calls. That's his choice." "Did you tell him not to?" "I told him to do whatever he wanted. He chose not to call." Lena wiped her eyes. "I'm sorry. I've said it 1,000 times, but I'll say it again. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for the choices I made. I'm sorry. Save it for someone who cares." She flinched. "You're cruel." "No, I'm just done." Lena stood at the fence for another minute, watching Owen coach the kids. Then she turned and walked back to her car. Mark watched her drive away. He felt nothing. On the field, Owen jogged over, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Was that Mom?" "Yeah." "What did she want?" "To watch." "Did you let her?" "No." Owen nodded. "Good." They stood together at the fence, watching the kids take batting practice. The crack of the bat, the scatter of baseballs across the infield, the sound of young voices shouting encouragement. "You did good with them today," Mark said. "Thanks. Tommy's getting better at his swing." And Katie finally hit one past the pitcher's mound. "She's been working hard." "Yeah." They were quiet for a moment. Then Owen said, "Dad?" "Yeah." "Thanks for all this." The field. Everything. Mark looked at his son. 17 years old. Strong. Confident. Whole. "You don't have to thank me," Mark said. "This is what fathers do." Owen smiled, then jogged back to the field. Mark stayed at the fence as the sun dropped toward the hills. He thought about all the years that had led to this moment. The court battles. The broken promises. The nights Owen had cried himself to sleep. And he thought about the promise he'd made that first day, when Lena had shown up late with her fake smile and empty words. "You break your word again, and I won't call next time. I'll act." He'd kept that promise, and he'd won. Justice wasn't